Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. I want you guys to let me know how the audio quality is today. I actually think I figured out how to hook up my narration microphone during live streams. So, you guys let me know how the sound is. Hello. Let's go back to the top. Well, I'll start from the bottom. Vargas. Evan the Nerd, hey, Connect the Dots, Smoky Mountain Reads, Football Master, Gibby Lanes, Evil Satyr. Did I skip anybody? Let me go back. Let me go up and see Crystal Seacrest. Hello, hello. If you guys enjoyed me with the last live stream, I had a lot of difficulty. No one could hear me really, and I couldn't tell if it was Google Hangouts, my microphone headset, or hey, lovey love. That's great. Yeah, I finally figured out how to use my narration. Yeah, I know. Um, Plus, then I tried to do it on my phone, and then the phone app closed out in the middle, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get back on. It ended up, hey, Zena, it ended up closing out the live stream. So, gonna give everybody a couple of minutes, just a couple minutes. We're not gonna wait like forever to get here. So, yes, I hope the quality is great. Um, don't mind me if you hear me chewing just for a second. I got a little distracted. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I get distracted and I forget like to eat. I ate something, but I didn't eat like enough, obviously. And then I was about to start this and realized that I was starving. Totally irrelevant. But so like I'm gonna try not to chew into the microphone, but I have to put a piece of bread in my mouth. I'm so hungry. I found a few interesting things for us today. Let's see here. Squirrel. Well, it's kind of important to have food in your stomach. Yeah. Um, we've got 10 real life encounters with shadow people, 8 bone chilling Bloody Mary stories, Bloody Maury Povich stories. Haha, that'd be hilarious. And then 8 people who allegedly sold their souls to the devil. And again, if these suck, we'll move on to something else. It's totally fine, but just letting you know what's on the table. Seems like the bigger the list, the bigger the chances of crap. So I thought maybe we'd have some better luck with some shorter lists this time, or shorter groups of stories. Mm. It's 41 degrees here today, or just a little bit warmer, but it feels like spring. I don't know about you guys, but I had to refresh my browser because it was an ass and decided to lag. Is it lagging for anyone else? I hope not. I hope we're doing good. I'm really hoping there's not going to be an issue like last time. I think I might cry. I get really excited about live streams because I get to chat with everybody. So, you don't like spring? Spring to each his own. I like the beginning of winter, but after like the first month, I'm done. But spring to me feels like the chance of something new. Like the slate is clean from what was going on. Possibilities are new. That's how I view each season that comes. So, hello, horror fan dad. Allergies. Yeah. Can I throw in my 2 cents and say I'd rather you picked off different subject? Sorry, I don't want to see different subject on what? I have 3 different subjects. Hey, Case Lee. Hey. I mean, if you've got some stories, like a link to something we can read, like by all means, please supply the link. Do you have shadow people stalking you, tall guy? Hey. Just giving everyone a few minutes to get in here if you're wondering why we're not reading yet. Just giving it a chance to get in here. Disturbing origins of beloved children's stories, the Lawson family massacre. Mm, sometimes it's like they focus on a set of 5 killers and that's all they ever talk about. It's ridiculous. My computer is about 6 or 7 years old, so it lags. Oh, hey, Schmeister. You're one of the reasons why I had this early. Oh, didn't hear that. I meant another subject besides the selling of this. Oh, yeah, no. That's the third set of stories, and that's 8 people. Those are like, they're legendary tales, so I've only heard of one of them. So, and this first one is 10 creepy real life encounters with shadow people. And then the next set are 8 chilling first-hand Bloody Mary stories. And again, these could suck, so who knows? Who knows? We're just gonna start at one point and see where it takes us. Kind of pumped for the stream. Kind of pumped it's working, and I'm also really happy. Number one, I don't have to wear a headset. You guys can hear me on my regular microphone, which I love. Microphone. You'll also notice that when I talk fast, I don't say my R's properly. I had a speech impediment when I was a little kid, and sometimes it creeps its way back in. Reading helps with that. And if you're someone that has some sort of speech impediment or know someone that does, reading helps with that. Reading out loud helps even more. So it's a thing that anyone watch Motley Crue's new movie on Netflix? No. Some of those sound cool. You might listen? Well, well. Also, if anybody has suggestions for tomorrow's video, let me know because I haven't picked anything yet. Schmeister's still working on his series, so I believe there's more than 3 parts, right, Schmeister? But so far I've read all the stuff that he's given me, so um I'm open to suggestions for tomorrow's creepypasta or not I'll say tomorrow's fiction story. Doesn't have to be a pasta, it could be any fiction story. I like it sometimes when there's parts. I really do enjoy the series. Raise your hand if you guys have listened to B Busta's The Cabin in the Woods series. I really liked that. There's at least 6 to 7. Oh, sweet. Oh, thank you, Lovey Love. That's awesome. They're already affected since you're from Michigan. Potty of the accent. Yeah, see people say that. Um when we were little kids, my brother and I lived in Ohio, and everybody says that he and I have an accent, but I think it's just maybe some words that we say. I don't know. I don't hear it. I know Malcolm Crew made a movie. Part of the accent. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. I gotcha. Partly of the accent. Autocorrect is an asshole. It really is. But if I get talking really fast, I get tongue tied. Um, yeah. And I actually am tongue tied just a little bit. Anyways, I think we can get started now. And it's on Netflix called The Dirt. Okay, that sounds interesting. My husband is a huge fan of music, stuff like that. Like, he'll probably want to see that. I don't know if he's so much of a Motley Crue fan of the music per se, but he's huge into like documentaries about music. I'll watch it with him, but it's not something I will go and watch on my own. I get told I have an accent a lot. Yep, it's nearly got me in big trouble in the past. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. There's an entire like if you look that up on like the funniest one is to go to Pinterest because they have like groups of people have uploaded and saved it. Oh my gosh. Never noticed an accent, but then again, I'm from Grand Rapids. Right. So I have like the same way of speaking and then I also have like a speech impediment that likes to like if I'm really excited about something, I'll mess up what I'm saying too. So I just learn to make fun of it. I'm self-deprecating to make others feel better. Awesome. All right. So let's get into this first set of stories and see. You have a really bad one? No, Zena, the Hawaiian, that's awesome. I love it. Okay. Let's get into this first set of stories. This is supposed to be, and I say that because I haven't read them yet. We're venturing in this together. Uncharted territory. These are supposed to be 10 creepy real life encounters with shadow people. The first one says during the late 60s, Sniggety encountered shadow people on 3 separate occasions. The first, they caught one looking through their bedroom window before disappearing. The second was a few months later, when they woke to 5 shadow people lurking aimlessly around their bedroom. The third and final time was late at summer camp. They were laying in bed with in their bungalow when shadowy figures appeared and began walking in circles around the bed. In all 3 occasions, the figures were pitch black, darker than the dimly lit room, and this user has experienced all they want from shadow people and hopes to never encounter one again. I don't know. It seems like they could have went into a lot more detail. Like that was like grazing over the subject. They could have went into so much more detail. I do the same thing, getting tongue tied when speaking too fast. I always figure it was part of my learning disability. Yeah, I learned as an adult that not only did I have uh, the speech impediment was something that was figured out when I got to kindergarten because I didn't go to preschool. And part of my speech therapy, which you've probably heard this a million times, tall guy, but anyone else that's new here, part of my speech therapy in kindergarten was reading out loud to myself. I don't know what age I started reading. I literally have no clue. I'm not trying to brag on that. It's not like I have some amazing IQ. I just loved books. Um, so I don't know when I started read, but that was my speech therapy was reading out loud. But also as an adult, I learned that I have a small bit of dyslexia, and I obviously squirrel ADHD or ADD or whatever you want to call it. Bad vibes. Hey. Yeah. Topic gives me ideas already. Ooh. Dee Dee, have you heard the Russian sleep experiment? When I first heard it, I thought it was real. I'm trying to think if it was on God, who did that? I don't know if it was Creeps McPasta or if it was Mr. Creepypasta was the first person I heard read it. It might have been Creeps. Um, and I thought it was real, or maybe it was Lazy Masquerade. Didn't they all do that? That's why I haven't done it because I feel like what more could I possibly add to it? Everyone knows it's fake. Everyone's heard it. But yeah, I thought it was real the first time I heard it. Abs, I have that also. Yeah. I used to have abs. I know you meant ADD. That sleep experiment sounds too real. I know. Yeah. I'm EMI. What is that? What does that mean? EMI. Autism and ADHD. I've got 2 disabilities for vice of one. Okay, so I've noticed a lot of people that like YouTube. I think it's because of the fact that you don't have to, although there are options for listening longer, but you can always pause and come back later. But I think a lot of people enjoy it because it's short bits of entertainment and that's over like that. So people look for it. Like I know that if I'm looking for a subject that I want to learn something from, if I see that that thing is an hour long, I don't want to see that. But if I'm looking for like let's say B Busta when he has like he just made a playlist, which I think that's weird that he just started making playlists because I've always done that because that's one of the tips to growing your channel, which maybe I should have never made playlists and I would have 600,000 followers too. But whatever. I'm always trying to figure out what am I emotionally impaired. Okay, I get it. I'm sorry. Flatten Earth. Hello, sweet. But I think that's something that most people that come to YouTube are interested in YouTube have a similar I heard somebody say that most YouTubers are narcissistic. Probably the ones that are always looking at themselves, maybe. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't want to be on camera. And then the one time I was on camera, I I can't read and focus on being on camera. I don't want to have to worry about where my focus is at while I'm reading. So yeah. Oh, making a playlist it takes like 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Now when I'm uploading a video, I just add it. So let's go on to the next ADHD, depression, anxiety. Wow. Yeah, I do too. Um, you're so sweet, Zena. Yeah, me too. There's a couple of shows that I'm really into. The first one is Good Girls. And I don't know if you guys have seen Good Girls. It's on Sunday night on NBC. I am in love with that show. My daughter and I started watching it on Netflix. And then as soon as we were done binge watching it, we're like, oh, what a bummer. And then boom, season 3 was starting and we were so excited. So yeah, love that show. There's another show. Oh, and My Lottery Dream House. 2 shows that I want to watch because I'm obsessed with. I like house hunting and I love seeing people, like a lot of them are in need and they finally like won the lottery. I get a lot of joy out of seeing the people happy. I really do. You know, there's some people like misery loves company. I'm not like that at all. I want to see people happy and doing well. So let's get on to the second one of the 10 creepy real life encounters with shadow people. Anna Theum has had a few encounters with shadow people, but there's only one that truly terrified them. On a summer evening, they stayed up late watching television with their sister. And as they got up to go to bed, they passed by the front door and saw a Native American man standing in the frame. He stood about 6'5", wore a black suit with an old fashioned top hat, had long hair and dark blue eyes. The user screamed, making their sister jump and impulsively throw a salt shaker at the figure. The shadow person's face fell into what seemed like a sorrowful expression, then shimmered away through the front door. Later, when describing the experience to their father, he said the shadow person sounded like a description of his great uncle, who died when he was young. Okay, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that shadow people didn't have facial features. Am I wrong in assuming that? 15 seasons is a long time to have a show on. That's pretty remarkable. I mean, I think The Simpsons and what's that game show that's on in the middle of the day? Drew Carey's the host of it now. Price is Right. Between that and Simpsons, and there's soap operas that have been on forever because it's always constantly changing. Um, yeah, I don't know how much longer you can keep going and keeping it interesting because it's not like it's like a soap opera is like, you know what I mean? People are gonna watch it no matter what. But Supernatural is like a complex storyline with elements coming in and out. Plus, like 15 years is a long time to be obligated to be on one thing and not be allowed to like do movies or other stuff. I would imagine they'd want to. Um, she threw a salt shaker at a native Indian. I guess he must have been some kind of well-seasoned warrior. Same way, Duchess. I love seeing people genuinely happy. A big sap. What was I gonna say? So am I wrong? Are shadow people supposed to have facial features? I just thought they were literally just a shadow. I don't know. Well-seasoned warrior. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I just got that. Wow. MASH lasted longer than the real war. Yeah, it did. I remember seeing that like there's this one channel that my husband likes to watch. It's got like all the super old sitcoms on it. And I always make fun of him for it. But MASH comes on, it's like like right off the bat, it's super depressing. Like it tries to be a comedy about something that wasn't funny at all. And it's like, how did people watch this and not become depressed? Especially if they were in the war. Literally, shadow people. Yeah, right. Okay, thank you. I made you one Saturday. My wife and kids will be out of the house. Ooh, literally, the playlist just takes a second, dude. Let's go on to number 3 here. When Ice Fi was 5 or 6, they went into their backyard to play on their trampoline and saw 3 men. They were standing side by side, wearing matching hats, and were pitch black, like shadow people should be. They yelled at the creepy figures to get off. Their parents heard the shouts and raced downstairs. And to this day, the parents recall how frightened their kid was. Ice Fi told their parents there were people on the trampoline, but when they looked back, the shadow people had vanished. They didn't step on the trampoline for 2 years, but that wasn't the end. Their grandma described waking to a dark figure standing above her many times at their old house. One night, their mother woke and saw a similar figure standing over their father. They moved houses since, but the shadow people seem to have followed. Ooh. I think some people are just magnets for that. For real. My opinion is they can have faces because I believe in demons and I think that shadow people are demons. Demons I think are angels or something like them and they have faces. So yeah. Hmm. That's one theory. Yeah. I could see that. But then I think that demons can make themselves appear in exactly. That's something important to remember because I've heard so story after story after story where they appear as children so that when they show themselves to people in a home, they'll be like, "Oh, it's a little kid that lives here," and they welcome them into the home, and then that's when the shit hits the fan. Oh man, my mom laid me down to naps while she was watching MASH, and it made me not like the show for a long time. Yeah, I used to dread hearing like when I heard that. I mean, because that show was old when I was a little kid, so I agree people can be mad. Yeah, still YouTube. Oh, hey, cats. Hey. If anybody's here and I didn't for some reason say hello to you, it's because I didn't somehow see you when I looked away to read for a minute. So if you're here, say hello so I can say hello back. And now we're moving on to story number 4 of 10 people who've had real life encounters with shadow people. Number 4. After a poor night of sleep, Lostful Codex laid down midday to take a nap. They recall a strange feeling in their head, but believed it to be a side effect of sleep deprivation. Then, from the corner of their room, if you guys can hear the TV, it's because I turn the TV on for my dog because if it's too quiet, she gets really anxious. So, sorry about that. It just got louder. That's why I'm bringing it up. But, anyways, they believed they were suffering from sleep deprivation. Then, from the corner of their room, they heard South Park, as if there was a television sitting right beside their bed, although there wasn't. A ringing and high pitched whooshing sound joined in the chorus, and no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't lift their arms or head. Then they heard a knock at the window. Behind the glass crouched a dark, faceless figure. A second figure of identical stature entered through the bedroom door and sat at the edge of the bed. The shadow person spoke. I would be afraid too. This is what nightmares are made from. Lostful Codex was confident it was a dream, but it seemed inescapable. The room faded in and out. Then the user woke. It was easily the scariest experience they'd ever had with lucid dreaming. I was going to say that was sleep paralysis more than lucid dreaming. Um, I've heard people say bad things about lucid dreaming, but I think it's because people have an element of fear of the unknown, and so they automatically assume it's something bad. Um, Hello, Paul Kate. Hello. Um, it would be hard for me to see a child ghost that seemed nice and not want to be sweet to him. Yeah, exactly. I was forced to watch MASH and NASCAR as a kid. Oh, and they're going to let's go in a loop, go in a loop, go in a loop. Have you ever seen that Family Guy where he's making fun of NASCAR? And he's like, go in a circle, go in a circle, go in a circle. Because that's all they can do. No offense if anyone likes NASCAR. My dad actually did a little race car driving when I was a little kid. He has attained his license, I think, to drive everything. A plane, a semi truck. He even did some painting, everything. Glenda, hello. Do you have plans on making another Confessions of Evil? I don't know. I did a part 2 to that. Confessions of Evil, there's a part 2, but I don't think that Confessions of Evil part 2 was anywhere close to part 1. Those were the worst people collected on the planet that confessed to something. Like None of them gave their names because who would? Just terrible people. Oh, God. I don't know. If anyone finds Confessions of Evil, send them to me because I want to read more of them. People are like, "Oh, these are terrible," but they loved the video. So, it's one of my higher watched videos. I've known people who could lucid dream and they said it always felt tired after, probably because their brain can't do what it needs to do to recharge itself in the battery. Right. Right. Sleep is meant for resting. Your dreams are your brain releasing all the information that it needs to get rid of. So that's why it's really important for your brain to sleep. Um, Much better live. Oh yeah, being in an environment is always better than watching it on TV, I feel like. Just joined and thought I said MASH. Oh, you heard MASH. Yeah, we were talking about that. They're making a left turn. They're making another left turn. Come back in an hour and I'll tell you the same damn thing. Go in a circle. Go in a circle. Number 5. Mac Weirdo 42's earliest memory involves a shadow person. They were 2 or 3 years old at the time and recall waking to see a dark shadow on the wall beside their crib. A shadow with bright white eyes. It started moving toward them. They moved to the other side of the crib, but another shadow person was approaching from that side as well. Neither creature had any form that could easily be discerned. They were just pitch black against an already shadowed wall. With nowhere to go, they crouched in the center of the crib. They recall their parents telling them the shadows were trying to get them. Oh no, the parents recall Mac Weirdo 42 telling them that the shadows were trying to get them. Okay. I was going to say, what horrible parents would say that to their child? Oh, reading it properly makes all the difference in the world. Um, when you're controlling your dreams, it can't do that. Right. But you can have an element of control to your dreams. Of course, all the information you took in during the day is going to alter that, but like having a thought about something that you want to dream about. Um, I read this. Um, so I don't know how much you believe in answers you have within yourself. So I was reading a book, and I'd like to practice this again. Um, now that a level of stress has been eliminated. Um, Supposedly, so if you want to ask a question, like you're having trouble with like maybe a work problem or something in your personal life, so you write this question down. So right before you go to sleep, you say, I'd like an answer to this question. And I guess if you do this every night for like a month, you're going to get an answer that you couldn't figure out on your own, supposedly. But the first 2 weeks that you do this, like you need to write this down and say it to yourself right before you fall asleep. And as soon as you wake up, you write whatever you saw in your dream. And for the first 2 weeks, it's gonna be like this pile of garbage, crazy stuff that you don't even understand because your brain is literally dumping out tons of information. Like, you know how if you have a really messy room or something in a box and you know something's in the bottom of it and you wanna get to it? So it's like your brain's digging through the pile of crap to get to the piece that you already know, but you can't access it, if that makes sense. If I find out what that book is, I'll let you know if you guys are interested, but, um, I'd like to practice that again. Again, I don't think that's gonna work for everybody because if you believe that things are nonsense, they're not gonna work for you. Evil Satyr said, "I like to scare children. What's life without a good scare?" Awesome. Go in a circle. Learn in a town called Circle City. ADHD gives me very vivid dreams. Okay, so what I'll ask this question and come back for the answer in a minute. If you are ADHD or ADD, do you take prescribed medication for it? Now I'll come back and look for your answers in a minute. Number 6 of 10 creepy real life encounters with shadow people. At 3 a.m. one morning, Vozinya, I think that's how you say that, woke and went to the kitchen to get some water. On their way, they stumbled upon a shadow person sitting in the recliner in the family room. They had been seeing shadow people their entire life, so this sudden appearance wasn't startling. They stood still for a couple minutes to be certain it was indeed a shadow person, and as their eyes adjusted to the dark, it became clearer a shadow person was sitting in their living room, staring at them. They started moving toward it. The figure seemed undaunted. They were 3 feet apart. Then the shadow person evaporated. Really? I don't know. Huh. All right. Say, no, I use hemp. Um, connect the dots. Hello. A discussion with an associate. Yes. No and no. Just want to announce I am happy because I am drinking coffee, nice and strong, and I'm cooking bacon. I can almost smell it. Um, I have noticed that I started using my French press for my coffee. I don't know if anybody else uses one of those, but my coffee is finally good and strong. And I feel like maybe that's why I feel so optimistic about spring because I finally am like super caffeinated. I'm getting so much stuff done. So I have ADHD and no, I don't take meds. I don't take meds at all. Hate the side effects and any meds that mess with your brain. Chem have tons of them. Yeah, I was just curious. Yeah, that's just what I use to take mine. Yeah, caffeine. um, Number 7 in 6th grade, so says Clucifer, attended a barbecue at a local park. After a day of playing with her classmates, it was time to head home. The older kids, including this Reddit user, were tasked with collecting the younger kids and getting them ready to leave. The park wasn't that big, so finding all the kids proved easy. But then things took a turn toward the paranormal. About halfway across the park, they saw a dark figure of what appeared to be a toddling small child. Thinking it was one of the kids they were looking for, the user and their friend ran after the shadow, yelling at it to stop. When the figure reached the edge of the park, it turned white, dropped on all fours, ran up the tree like a cat, and leapt over the wall. The user and their friend ran away terrified, unsure of, of exactly what they saw. I would think that's definitely not a shadow person and definitely of the darker um, realm there. That's terrifying. Can you imagine seeing that? Holy shit. Not medicated, seeing a doctor for mental health, but it is on my to-do list. I don't have the attention problems anymore like I used to. Yeah, they say that a lot of people do grow out of it. Um, but they also say that a lot of kids that take it as adults have a lot of problems with drug addiction, depression, anxiety, more so than they did when they were younger. So if they would have just left it alone and not medicated them, a lot of the issues would have dissipated as adults. But the problem is a lot of adults just can't let the kids be the way that they need to be. They want them to sit in a chair and listen when that's just not realistic for someone that needs to go and bounce on a trampoline for 10 minutes and then they can maybe focus after they get some energy out or maybe, there's only so much time you can get out of a kid that needs to run 5 hours out of the day nonstop. Yeah. Yeah, that seemed demonic, didn't it? "Hey, Roger, hey." So I still have ADD, but without the actual attention. Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that probably sometimes the medication temporarily helps, but in the long term makes it so much worse. So much worse. I think that learning how to teach and coexist with individuals that have an issue sitting still would be much more what's the word, cohesive. It'd be better for everyone in the long run if you just let them learn the way that they need to learn. It's not the traditional way. Literally just gave someone with ADD some Play-Doh in his class. It will help 100%. Oh yeah. Well, it depends on their energy level, concentration, emotional factors, the teacher, the environment of the classroom. There's like so many elephants. There's so many elephants that play into it. Oh my god, you know what I meant. Anyways, to number 8 of 10 creepy real life encounters with shadow people. One night when Mr. Tibbles, 32, was 5 and trying to fall asleep, a shadow person appeared before their window. It seemed harmless, pacing back and forth in front of the window, appearing as if someone was floating just outside the window. But the room was on the second floor, 20 feet off the ground. No living human could be outside their window. This continued to happen. Sometimes more than one would appear, and the two shadow people would interact. The user didn't realize what they were seeing at the time. They just believed it to be a childish fantasy like seeing Peter Pan. It was only recently that they were able to pinpoint exactly what they'd seen, and it was no lost boy. Oh, like Peter Pan. Wow. Well, at least this writer's actually done something, like they've actually edited what the people sent in and they added like witty lines to it. It's pretty rare. um I was always so hyper. I was moving like a madman. Yeah, they wanted to medicate me when I was a teen. My mom said, "Hell no. He's a normal teen. Both my ex and my current girlfriend were medicated growing up and they both have issues now." Yep. So true. So true. Oh, so I got this reply from this guy on my serial killer Saturday on Albert Fish telling me his name is Mike Fish, that he is directly related to Albert Fish. And so I was asking him questions on how did the rest of the family turn out, because that's one of my, I love Tem elephants. Yeah. Um, one of my things that I am always curious about, especially Albert Fish was one of, I think, 9 children, and he's the only one that was a serial killer. What happened to the other children? Were they violent as well? Did they have decent lives? I mean, they weren't really set up for a decent life to begin with. It was a hard time to begin with, just the era that they were in. And then they had a mentally ill father. So what happened to make him like that? So I really am looking forward to seeing his response because he just sent some responses. You have really bad PTSD. Yeah. He ate them. Oh my God. So gross. I'm going to move on to number 9 of 10 creepy real life encounters with shadow people. Pine Wolf 14 has encountered shadow people more than once. Often they hear them breathing or feel the shadow person hovering over them while they sleep. They've heard whispers saying, "Don't move," in the middle of the night. Wisely, the user never did, but one night this changed. Instead of lying still, they rolled over and came face to face with a shadow person. If the two had been any closer, their foreheads would have been touching. They opened their mouth to scream, but there were hands around their throat, choking them. They started to thrash around, punching and kicking at the shadow person until suddenly they vanished. Okay, I have 2 problems with that story. Number 1, that doesn't seem like a shadow person. If you can physically kick it, it's a shadow person. Much like having a face, like, and if it's choking you, I don't think that's a shadow person. I think that's, again, of the dark elements there. Yeah. Yeah, Xena's a pretty tough cookie. Hopefully whatever evil is harbored with Albert didn't move on down the family line. I've noticed it really seems like that happens. That's why I'm curious to see what the guy said. I'm like, holy shit. I've always wondered if any relatives of these serial killers or people that knew them watch those videos. I'm always like waiting to see that. And it happened today. And I'm like, oh, I'd like to like have a conversation with this person. So I'm hoping that will happen. Um, I can relate. Recently, having bed bugs, the stress was so bad. I had a case of temporary PTSD from it and still find myself looking around for them. Ooh, that's hard. Don't you have to throw all of your stuff away if you get in an infestation like that? This is probably going to make it worse for you, but thank you, Duchess. I have many skills. Yes, that's neat. I'll come back for that answer there. There's this number 10 of 10 creepy life real life encounters with shadow people. And this says a few years ago, Mistress of Dark, no relation to me, was sleeping over at a friend's house and had trouble sleeping. As they were lying awake, a tall, solid black silhouette entered the room. It wore a top hat, a long coat, and looked like a male figure. He sat in a chair beside the bed and stared at them. After a few seconds, he started talking. The user doesn't remember the conversation exactly, as the experience took place 5 years ago, but it was harmless, and the shadow person seemed genuinely interested in them. Then a second shadow person appeared, same black silhouette, but this time a woman. Ooh, I almost sneezed in the microphone. Ooh, strangely, she was crawling. Crawling. The man sitting beside the chair told them not to look, and the woman wouldn't notice them. She was not a good entity. Shortly after, the woman left, and at dawn, the shadow man vanished too. What? So it's like one shadow person came to protect someone else from the other one. Yikes. Um, I have truly evil thoughts, but not bad actions. Is that bad? No, everyone has that. It's like it's letting don't let those thoughts dominate your mind. You control that. The more bad things you think about, if you let anger fuel you, you're going to be that's going to emanate through everything. It's going to show in everything, and everything else is going to seem bad here and there and here and there. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just have to get away from a situation, even if it's temporarily, or a person, and just block them out so your mind can go somewhere else. Um, that was last year. No, I didn't have to throw stuff away. The exterminator uses a high level of heat from a portable heater. Hold it long enough to kill them, then spray them. Okay, that's good to know. Anyone? Hey, Vidith. Hey. My best friend's parents are named Fish, and her mom is Nuts. I wonder if it's genetic. I don't know. I'm gonna talk to the guy and see some of his family history. He wrote like 2 messages, so I'm hoping to like have a more of an email exchange, and I mean, that would be an amazing amazing thing. I've said it before, but I've been waiting for some sort of in-depth look into a serial killer like that. Just how does one person of a group of children turn out to be the serial killer and the others aren't? Like, what happened to him that didn't happen to the other? Or maybe was his mind it's just that one extra drop in the bucket that made him flip. Were the other ones cannibals too? I mean, so many questions. Yeah, if you let anger in, it makes you they win. Yeah. It's the same as when you stand on the ledge and a little voice says, "Do it, do it." But then you step away. We do. There's people that don't though, and that's what I have a serial killer Saturday for. Okay, now these are supposed to be, let's see if these suck or not. 8 chilling firsthand Bloody Mary stories. Um this says her mouth was wide, but there was dead silence. So let's see what this one says. So Marissa and her friend had just finished watching an eerie episode of Ghost Whisperer. Ha, I told you guys about my incident with that too. And Marissa wanted to scare her friend, one of her favorite activities. So Marissa looked into her living room mirror, spun 3 times saying Bloody Mary. No ghost appeared, so she went into the bathroom to try again. Against the warning of her friend, Marissa shut off the lights, closed the door, and repeated the chant. When she looked into the mirror this time, there was still nothing. Disappointed, she was about to flip the light on when she caught a glimpse of something. She looked closer and discovered a black and white woman with her mouth wide open. Marissa expected a scream from the apparition, but found only dead, terrifying silence. The woman in the mirror lifted her arms, and Marissa saw that her hands were bright red, not with polish, but with blood. Her fingernails had been torn off. Hands reached out from behind Marissa and grabbed her shoulders. Marissa screamed, turned on the light, and ran from the bathroom. And that's where the story ends? Like, did you have blood on your shirt? So many questions. So unfair. So unfair. Not cool. Hey, J. Ro. Let's see. I don't get bitter, I get better. Bloody Mary is like using in outings. Uh, oh, a Ouija? Yeah. Yeah, well, that's because people treat the spirit world like it's a game that is there for their entertainment. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you do anything like that, you're just asking for problems. And I think that when people do that, the problems last for much longer than the temporary game you're playing. Sneaks up on you like a piece of gum in your hair. No matter what you do, you're just gonna have to do the hard thing. Just don't be that hard. Just don't do that to yourself. No one will put gum in their hair on purpose. So don't play with stuff that you think is a game. It's not a game. I don't know where I was going with that. Sometimes I have a good analogy and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just an idiot with a YouTube channel. So, all right. Number 2, the old woman with cuts on her face. Katie was only 9 years old when she and her friends decided to attempt Bloody Mary at her house one weekend. The 5 friends carefully carried candles to the bathroom and began chanting Bloody Mary. And as they chanted, an old woman with cuts across her face and chains around her neck and shoulders appeared in the mirror. Suddenly, the shower curtain went up in flames and the girls fled the bathroom. An older boy ran in and put out the fire. Although the girls were blamed for the curtain catching fire, they and their candles were much too far away to have caused it. 25 years later, Katie has never attempted to try calling Bloody Mary again. Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, who would? I mean, this one thing happened, but let's do it again. Oh, I scared my friend by getting her lost in the woods when we were young and acting like I was also lost. I want a Ouija board, but I'm scared to use them. You shouldn't use it at all. It's not a game. Um, oh boy, do I have some stories. People just wouldn't believe them. You'd be surprised. Number 3, a woman was looking out of her mirror. So while friends Sarah, Gail, and Missy hung out on Friday the 13th, they got to talking about Bloody Mary. The girls had been reading about her on the internet and decided to try the rituals for themselves. The trio got several candles, set them up in the Gale's bathroom, waited until 2:55, then went into the bathroom and chanted Bloody Mary 13 times. As soon as she had been called 13 times, Bloody Mary appeared in swirling smoke in the mirror, and all 3 girls screamed and turned on the light, only for Bloody Mary to vanish immediately. I mean, don't you think that probably a trick of the mind because you're hoping to see something in the dark, and so the more you're looking for something in the dark, the more you're likely you're going to see something in the dark. It's just my take on that sometimes. Um, only creeped out. We're gonna go on to number 4, I believe. A group of girls was spending the summer at a camp in the Pacific Northwest on an island called Anacortes. I'm probably saying that wrong, so feel free to correct me in the chat. Sick of exploring the woods, they decided to collectively fake food poisoning. They ran to a bathroom and shut themselves up in it, hoping to make the fakery convincing. And while they were there, one girl, Jessica, came up with the idea to play Bloody Mary. Why is it always a Jessica? The rest of the group agreed and they shut off the lights. They said Bloody Mary 3 times into the mirror and waited. At first, there was nothing. Then the mirror cracked. All the girls ran off screaming except for one. The remaining camper was paralyzed with fear. She stared and saw a flash of movement behind the mirror as if someone was standing right behind her. She turned and ran from the bathroom. The next morning, the girls laughed about the event, if only to hide how scared they really were. I don't know. I would think camp, like, that'd be an extra added benefit to being a camp counselor is to set up crap like that. Hmm. Anacortes is on the mainland, tight on the water. They have a ferry nearby. Cool. Wonder what happened if I chant lottery ticket 13 times. I don't know. Lottery ticket, lottery ticket, lottery ticket, lottery ticket. Winning lottery ticket will probably be the one that you want to chant, though. I'm a medium More sort of a human Ouija. My spirit is good, though. The drawback is getting overtaken by the spirit. Sometimes spirit being a generic term, more like extra dimensional being. These things are real, but they're different than what everyone thinks. Hmm. Of course. So wouldn't you imagine that they would lash out at people thinking that they're games? So number 5, she won't tell us what happened. So one night, Kelsey's friend had a slumber party. The girls dared one of their crew to try calling Bloody Mary into the bathroom. The friend accepted, glibly confident that the supposed ghost could do her no harm. 15 minutes passed as the other girls waited for something to happen, but there was no sign of Bloody Mary to be found. Then they heard the girl scream. She tried to get out of the bathroom and was stuck, even though the door didn't have a lock on it. When Kelsey and her friends finally got the Mary summoner out, she was crying and whimpering. She showed the girls her arms. They were covered in scars that had never been there before. And to this day, Kelsey has not been able to get her friend to speak of what had happened that night. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'd have to see it to believe it. Just got the Alex Russian guy's job done. Oh, congratulations, husband. I take it you're done for the day then. On to number 6. Show us a sign that you're here. In April of 2007, the 13th fell on a Friday. And on that fateful night, Ezzy and her friends decided to try summoning Bloody Mary. They sat in a circle and called for the spirit with a coin nearby to communicate. First, they asked that Bloody Mary show a sign that she was there. When they flipped the coin for an answer, they first received a no, but the following 2 times were a yes. They were playing a CD at the time and it got scratchy, despite the fact that the CD was brand new with no marks on it. Then the girls began feeling dizzy and faint, as they felt long fingernails brushing against their backs and faces. The blinds started shaking, although the window wasn't open. As he jumped up and closed the circle between the girls and Bloody Mary, they were all utterly shaken. And to this day, Ezzy still has the feeling that she is never truly alone. Mm-hmm. That's what you get, Ezzy. The red reflection is the next one. Let me see. Check the chat. Check the chat. Too many spirits in the house I live in to mess with a Ouija board or anything like that. Oh, yeah. Evil Satyr says, hello, football master. Connect the dots. They're powers of the mind. Oh, they're just physical form to remember the consciousness shared by some conscious. Yeah. Um, Number 7. What did I just say number 7 was? The red reflection. Okay. There's like a picture after it, so I'm not sure why they do that. Okay. So Lauren and her friend were in an experimental mood the night they decided to try calling Bloody Mary. While out on the road, they stopped at a gas station with an outdoor restroom. They went in, turned off the lights, splashed water onto the mirror, and spun around saying Bloody Mary 3 times. Lauren's friend flushed the toilet while Lauren stared into the mirror. What little of her reflection she could make out started turning red. She kept staring, then her friend started screaming, and they ran out the door. Outside, Lauren's friend discovered that her face didn't just appear red, it was covered in blood. When they cleaned her face, they discovered it had tiny scratch marks like fingernail scratches all over her face. I don't know. That sounds like something a 12-year-old submitted, but I could be wrong. As long as you can live in peace with them and don't bother you, Crystal, then I guess you're fine. They start getting hissy and making trouble, then it might be a good idea to have someone bless it. Oh, yeah. For sure. Okay, that guy just replied a 3rd time, so I can't wait to I'll read them in a second if you want me to. Um, Number 8 is don't open that portal. 29-year-old Amanda has a particularly dramatic tale of Bloody Mary. When she was 12, Amanda believes that her summoning of the spirit opened a portal that allowed demons and witchcraft into her soul. All of these years later, she has become addicted to drugs, postpartum psychosis, was institutionalized for a month, and has suffered from extreme mental issues constantly. Amanda has even resorted to exorcisms without success, firmly believing that her young foolhardiness is responsible for her current problems. Let Amanda's story remind you that summoning ghosts is no laughing business. She has spent her life warning others of the danger of even seemingly innocent childhood games. Okay, so I have a theory on that because I think that children are innocent. Children are innocent. I think it's the ones that have the bad intentions. Um, you know that the spirit world is not a game, yet you taunt it and provoke it and poke it with a stick anyway. Children are innocent when they don't know. It's when you know and then you do that that you're setting yourself up. Unfortunately, that girl has several elements telling her it's not so. So let's see what this guy has to say here. Just a second. I'm gonna go to the creator studio if you guys want to hear it. If not, I will wait till later to read it to myself. But I thought you guys might be interested to see what he had to say about being related to Albert Fish. Not sure about Mary, but candles start after that. What do you make of someone who makes and sells Ouija boards? But if I want to use it, they say, "Oh no, you." Who, who would make them and say that? They're creating portals. Bah, sorry, haven't finished. It's fine. I think that that person's a hypocrite. That's what I would think about that. But to each his own. Anyways, do you guys want to hear this man's response to being related to Albert Fish? If not, I will just read it later. You would like to hear that? So that's one for yes. I only need a couple of yeses, and I'm going to read it anyway. So here is what he said earlier. I'll go to that first. Hold on. I don't know what I just did there. Okay, so he says he's in my family tree, sick motherfucker. And I said, wow, I would be interested to track the rest of the family. Obviously, you are not a serial killer. So my curiosity goes to his direct siblings and what direction their lives took. There was mental illness untreated and hard times, yet he seemed to be the only one who took on this violent path. And he goes on to respond and say, I tracked my side of the Fish family back to the 1480s, 15th century. Even had an ancestor that was Secretary of State under President Grant. I know it's a lot of the Fish family that were offers and a few lawyers. So I guess I will. He came the right way and didn't go down Albert's path, but he's the one that got the idea of Slender Man and Vampire of the Bronx or Brooklyn in New York City, and most famous of all, the boogeyman Baba Yaga. I guess I was brought up on the right path. I've been in construction all my life, 30 years, doing roofing and building hot rods, engines, never thought about killing a person. Then he says, another fact, I was born in Scotland and we moved to New York in the 70s. So that's 40 years after he was killing kids and met them 40 years after he was and consuming them. We used to live 5 miles away from the Amityville Horror House. I didn't turn into Ronald DeFeo, and we lived there in 1974 when he butchered his family and shot them with a shotgun. And we lived there in 1974. Okay. We used to ride our bikes by the house. Always wanted to go inside there. Wow. You tracked that family tree back to the 15th century. That is crazy. There's very few family trees that you can track that back. I mean, I don't know if you've done genealogy or not. I have. Um, there's not a lot documented for me, and I thought it was because of our American Indian, but I have like a fraction of that in me. But I am 51% Irish, so there's that as well. Um, I was looking at the analysis because I was concentrating on that other part so much I didn't even look at the other elements of myself. And 51% Irish, which is a lot. I don't know anyone else who's 51% Irish, especially not anyone who's directly descended from Ireland. It's been generations. Um, let's see. Baby Yaga is a witch in Russian folklore, not Keanu. What? It's actually a nice house inside. I don't think it's all that what the Lutzes said it was. Yeah, it's not even recognizable, and it was just for sale for millions of dollars, like millions of dollars. Um, a lot of people think the Lutzes made it up, from what I've heard, what I've read and heard. The Fighting Irish. Mm-hmm. That's true. So these are 8 people who allegedly sold their soul to the devil, and the first one, I've never heard of some of these. I've heard of one, um, but I've never heard of these. So I thought these would be interesting. This is what people believe. Saint Theophilus of Adana, never heard of it. Many view Saint Theophilus of Adana, also known as Saint Theophilus or Phyllis, as the penitent, as the first man who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for social or political advancement. So the story goes, Theophilus was unanimously elected to become a bishop in the sixth century, not 16th, 6th century. He declined the offer out of humility. Another man accepted the position and was promptly made Theophilus's promptly made Theophilus's life miserable. Regretting his decision, Theophilus summoned a sorcerer who helped him contact the devil. The devil was more than happy to rectify the situation, provided the cleric renounce Christ and the Virgin Mary in a contract spelled out in his own blood. Theophilus accepted the demands, signed off on the pact, and ascended to the title originally offered him. As the years went by, though, doubt crept in. Theophilus begged for forgiveness from the Virgin Mary. He fasted for 40 days, after which time the Virgin reportedly appeared and rebuked him. Theophilus pleaded for mercy, and she left with the promise that she would talk to God on his behalf. After Theophilus fasted for another 30 days, the Virgin Mary returned with a message that God had pardoned him. 3 days later, however, Theophilus awoke to find the bloody contract placed upon his chest. Satan refused to relinquish his hold on the cleric's soul. A terrified Theophilus sought counsel from another bishop, who burned the contract and freed him from the infernal pact. Overwhelmed with joy, Theophilus died on the spot, relieved to be free. Holy shit, has anybody ever heard of that before? I've never heard of that. It's almost like theology's history. That's insane. I have to look into my heritage. I know that some of them are already. 1/4 Hungarian. Wow. Baby Yaga lives in a house with chicken feet. I put her in a D&D game when I was a kid. Oh my god. Cuz it's on a Long Island. Everything there is expensive. I looked it up once. I have no idea how much Irish and Native American, no idea what else. My grandma used to say she was an English mutt because there was a little bit of everything in there. I had no idea how much Irish though. A lot of Irish. More interested in the Crossroads deal. Yeah, I think that should be in here. My heritage has been traced back to medieval Scotland and King Robert the Bruce. High Tail. Awesome Seder. Other people here that I can't see their names. Did I miss them? This next one is Robert Johnson, which I think that's the one you're talking about, the blues guy. So Robert Johnson was an American blues musician from the early 20th century who, as legend has it, acquired his musical prowess from a midnight deal with the devil. Born in 1911, Johnson grew up along the Mississippi Delta. As a young man, he yearned for musical greatness, and one night took his guitar to the crossroads in hopes of conjuring dark forces. The devil appeared and took Johnson's guitar. He played a few songs and then handed it back, granting the young musician complete mastery of the instrument. The story thus explained Johnson's extraordinary skill. It also led to rumors that Johnson's drooping eye spoke of an infernal connection, and that he turned away from his audience while performing to hide the presence of evil. Johnson did little to discourage such tales. If anything, he fanned the flames with lyrics such as "Early this morning when you knocked upon my door, and I said, 'Hello, Satan. I believe it's time to go.'" In 1938, Johnson died under mysterious circumstances at the age of 27. Some say he succumbed to syphilis, others poisoning, whereas others contend it was the devil himself collecting his due. Hmm. That was the Crossroads one that somebody wanted to hear. Like Schmeister, I think that's one. Stupid man. Oh, haha. Got it now. I'm kind of royalty. Me too. I'm just joking. I was hoping that I'd be related to some rich famous person, be like, "Hey, what's up? Nice to meet ya." Of course, that'd be the person they would never talk to because I'm the dorky relative that lives in Michigan. I wish Johnson wore a hidden mic for those tracks. The devil played. Well, I mean, what would make you super famous? Saying you sold your soul to the devil, explaining your talent? I mean, I'd much rather hear about how he learned to play guitar for real, though. So much what we're talking about here. I'm just biting my tongue. Truly love everyone. Everything we're going over. Let's see. Niccolo Paganini. If anyone has heard of him, raise your hand. Or the situation. So nearly 150 years before Johnson's Midnight Pack, another famous musician was accused of bargaining with the devil in exchange for musical greatness. Niccolo Paganini, born in 1782, was an Italian violinist, guitarist, a violist, and a violinist. I don't know if there's a difference, and composer known for his complex pieces and uncanny musicianship. The virtuoso began performing publicly at the age of 12, only to collapse under the pressure just 4 years later. He returned to the music scene at age 22, performing complex arrangements of his own devising. Several of the compositions were so demanding that Paganini was the only person alive who could properly play them. As word of his talent spread, so too did the rumor that his abilities were the result of an unholy pact. Some even say they saw Satan on stage with Paganini, assisting the violinist during concerts. Such claims were so widespread, in fact, that Paganini was denied final rites and a proper burial upon his death. And it took 36 years after his passing before his body was finally laid to rest in a cemetery in Parma, Italy, a great distance from his home in Genoa. Wow. I did find out I'm part Italian too, but not anywhere near Irish. Not anywhere near, nothing compares to the amount of Irish I am. I just thought I never had any Italian in me, but had anybody heard of the last guy we just talked about? Hey, Element, hey. Deflay Madi? Defly Madi. Can you use me as a human footrest footstool? I want to be used as you. I wouldn't use anybody like that. You want me to say yes? Will that make you feel better? Funny thing is, Johnson already seemed good before the deal. Right, but I think that wouldn't that make you seem like, ooh, that would add like a mysterious element to you and like make people come and listen to you just to see if you were good enough to have seemed to have sold your soul to the devil for your talent. I mean, just I think it's always been true. There's no such thing as bad press, isn't that what they say? I wonder if Jack Black would be on the list. Can you remember him? He was my uncle. Found the greatest thing on YouTube. I have to tell you about it. Okay, spill. I literally went to a crossroads at midnight because I wanted to play like Paganini. Devil never showed, but I did end up with the violin shortly after. I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano and the violin. They're just beautiful. And I like when people make adaptations on YouTube, like they'll take a Metallica song and like make it into a piano or a violin version. They're beautiful. Joking about everything. Have a great day. Okay. You too. How long has this live stream been on? since 2 o'clock. And we are on our third set of stories. You have a great day too. Number 4 of 8 of people who supposedly sold their souls to the devil. This one is Giuseppe Tartini. Giuseppe Tartini is another Italian violinist said to have struck a deal with the devil. So the legend goes, a dark figure visited Tartini in a dream one night in 1713. It was the devil, offering his services in exchange for the musician's soul. Tartini agreed to the pact, after which the devil scooped up his violin and played the most beautiful song. Upon waking, Tartini grabbed his instrument and desperately tried to create the song. The result was the Devil's Trill Sonata, which remains one of the most difficult pieces of violin music ever written. Observers who witnessed Tartini play the piece were convinced he must have had otherworldly assistance to be able to perform it so perfectly. Tartini, however, was never satisfied with the piece. He maintained that it could not hold a candle to the original tune played by the sinister figure from his dream. Whoa. I've had a dream before about music being played. It was a really weird one too. Let's see. Okay. I bought a violin, never learned a damn thing. Sold it not a year after. Through a party, my friend James brought a Ouija. Normally I would have wanted to play with it, but not that day. Sorry, my hands are shaking. Look up the Marble Olympic. I just found out about it and it's the best thing ever. Oh, are you talking about Nova Olympia? Where he does like parodies of people? If you can find the link, I'll approve it. You can post the link right here in the chat and I'll totally approve it. Okay, number 5 is Urbane Grandier. Um, I don't know if you guys can hear the TV, but there's also like tons of construction on this tree behind me. Can't wait till they're done. Okay. Of the souls on this list, Grandier is unique in that his alleged contract with the devil actually exists. Born in 1590, Grandier was a French Catholic priest known for being sexually promiscuous with more than a few nuns. He was also an outspoken critic of the church's stance on celibacy. At some point, several of Grandier's former bedmates accused the priest of witchcraft, claiming he employed dark magic to lead them into temptation. A trial commenced, though it resulted in acquittal. France's chief minister, Cardinal Richelieu, I probably said that super wrong, was no fan of Grandier. The priest had published several withering criticisms about him. So Richelieu, I suck at saying French words, ordered a second trial, and Grandier was arrested and put through torture during his interrogation. The damning evidence, however, came in the form of a document allegedly found among Grandier's belongings. It was a contract written in Latin and covered in strange symbols, which boasted Grandier's signature and the signatures of several demons, including Satan himself. The bond promised Grandier the love of women, the flower of virgins, the respect of monarchs, honors, lusts, and powers, in exchange for the priest's allegiance. It's unclear if Grandier was forced to sign the contract under duress, or if it was completely forged by those angling for his demise. In either case, Grandier was found guilty of fraternizing with Satan and sentenced to death, and he was burned at the stake in 1634. Whoa! I can't believe I've never heard of this before. This is insane. Have you guys heard of this before? It's crazy. Oh, you're on a phone? Okay. Can you put the name of the channel like in the thing? Anyway, I sat talking to my friend Mike. We were talking about Dungeons and Dragons. 2 others were on the board. I told them if they wanted to talk to us. Wow. Okay. Okay. The eyes and the wow were hilarious. Brigadier General Jonathan Moulton is number 6 on this list. This is our third group of stories if you're just joining. Jonathan Moulton, born in 1726, was a famed soldier of colonial America, serving in King George's War as well as the French and Indian War. He became one of New England's wealthiest men after his service, which gave way to rumors that the man was in cahoots with the devil. Rumors swirled that General Moulton had struck a financial deal with Satan in exchange for eternal devotion and retention of his soul. The devil would visit Moulton's home every month and fill his boot with gold. Despite such a handsome sum, General Moulton grew greedy. He cut a hole in the floor above his basement, over which he placed his boot with a freshly punched hole in the boot's heel. Moulton may have thought himself quite clever, but one should never try to outfox the devil. Upon realizing the scheme, the devil burned down Moulton's house along with the gold coins. Can gold coins burn? Wouldn't they just melt into one giant gold coin? Wouldn't that make it more valuable? I don't know. Those kinds of stories were very common in Europe. That just seems like a urban legend is what that one sounds like. He and Mike got on it, and it said it was Satan. Its image was the sun on the board. It ruled the PM hours. That's when we spoke to it. Lucifer, the moon ruled. Oh, okay, it told us we were going to do it. We said no, we want to. You almost sound like a Wiccan or Druid. Oh, um, perhaps, but I don't know any Wiccans. Um, yeah, because Wiccan and Druid is the oldest living like religion. It existed far before Christianity, and it's not dark. It's actually celebrates life much more, but I don't want to get into that. The channel is Gels Marble Runs. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Let's see if I can write this down somewhere. Maybe I can do this really quickly. I don't know what I just did there. I accidentally left my own live stream there. Okay. I was just gonna look at the I was trying to open that in a new tab so I could search for that channel while you were saying it. Gels Marble Runs. Gels Marble Runs. And then I can look at it later. Um is it a gaming channel? Sand Marble Rally? Okay. I'll check that out later. Okay. I like different stuff, so we'll see. Okay. Ooh, yikes. Okay, so this is number 7, Antoine Rose. Let's see here. What does this say? Antoine Rose, the first female of this list. Yeah, and it says Antoine, not Antoinette or anything. Was a woman from the 15th century who confessed under torture to regularly meet with the devil. Today, she's credited with our modern day image of a witch riding a broomstick. Rose, who came to be known as the Witch of Savoy, France, claimed that she had been destitute and in dire need of money. Seeking help from her neighbor, Rose was led to a group of people who convinced her to ask the devil for help. The devil appeared and agreed to assist the struggling woman, so long as she rejected God and worshipped him instead. The devil also gave her a stick, 1.5 feet in length, and a small pot of ointment. She was to smear a bit of ointment on the stick, place it between her legs, and say, "Go in the name of the devil, go." I'm going to save my commentary. In her confession, Rose described some of the tributes the worshippers paid to the devil, including dancing and feasting, and kissing the devil's hindquarters when he appeared in the physical form of a large black dog. Rose also stated that the devil had a low, raspy voice in human form, and she was terrified of him the first time they met. So he said to stick a stick between her legs and say, "Go in the name of the devil, go." Wow. That's a very loaded statement there. No, I haven't either. Yeah. Go in the name of the devil. Someone told you to stick a okay. I'm not gonna repeat it because you've heard me say it, but what? Jesus. Tune in Tokyo. That's what that reminds me of. Oh my god. It's like the first tune in Tokyo. I would hella sell my soul to fix all the stuff in my life. Yeah, well then you'd have something else horribly wrong. Everything would be bad. Evil satyr. Christoph Haseman. This is number 8 of this third set of stories. This is the final one. So born in 1651 or 52, Johann Christoph Haseman was a painter who allegedly sold his soul to the devil after the death of his parent. In exchange for relief from poverty and depression, Haseman agreed to be the earthly son of the devil for 9 years. Afterward, Haseman's body and soul would pass into the devil's hands. Haseman claimed that he signed 2 documents confirming the pact, one penned in ink and the other in his own blood. As the due date approached, the painter grew worried. In 1677, he sought help from a Catholic priest who performed an exorcism on the young man. The ritual soothed Haseman's troubled mind. He had a vision in which he successfully retrieved the pact penned in blood. Soon thereafter, Haseman sought to annul the ink-written contract. He secured a second exorcism in 1678, which succeeded in calming his nerves. Haseman continued to paint after the exorcisms, creating several pieces that depicted his encounters with the devil. Such works illustrated Haseman's journal entries that described his infernal visions. Toward the end of his life, Haseman joined the Brothers Hospitallers of St. John of God. He died in 1700. It's said that Haseman was frequently visited by the devil and other demonic beings who tried to tempt him away from his newfound life of piety. Wow, I've never heard of any of these before, except for the Crossroads one. But yeah, sounds like a wand of message. Even though I didn't get famous, I did become an awesome songwriter, proficient with many instruments. I went to Wicca at first, then went more toward the Hermetic school. Yeah. That's like you know how they say spirits with alcohol? You can't do anything in excess and you can't try to escape from what's going on around you. I feel like the worse it is, the better of a person you're going to be when it's over. And even though it probably seems really hard right now, try to find any joy that you can and cling to it like gum in your hair. Now that this chat has come full circle, we're going to wrap it up in a minute. And I'm going to say thank you guys for coming to the live stream. I'm glad it worked this time. I was really worried it wasn't going to work. I even went and bought a new headset today, which I have to return now because it doesn't plug in. So I'm like, great, I'm going to have to shout into the computer. And I actually figured out by accident how to hook up my narration microphone for live streams. So it all worked out. Um, but I want to thank you guys for coming. Wednesday, I don't know what will be up Wednesday, but it'll be something. I'm excited. I love my fiction stories and my true ones as well. So if you guys have any requests, you can email them. Duchess Dark 676 at gmail.com is always in the description boxes of everything. So I want to thank you guys for coming. Have a great day. I'll see you Wednesday, probably at 8 p.m. for whatever story I choose. I don't know, unless you guys email me. Let me know. Okay. And for that, I'm gonna think. Oh, you should do near death experience stories. Okay. And on that, I'm gonna say thank you, and I'll my lady neckbeard style. Thank you, Monsieur. Bye. Thanks for coming. Bye. See you next time. Bye.